name is Kat, and this is my April wrap-up. So reading-wise, April was mostly a win with a little bit of fail sprinkled in there. I was able to finish 8 books, which I'm quite pleased about because that is right on par with the 100 book challenge. But I am still 5 books behind in the 100 book challenge. And also, I did not complete my TBR jar challenge this month, and I feel bad about that. I am going to roll that challenge over and attempt it again next month, but I'll talk about that in my May TBR. But for now, let's just get into these 8 books that I read in April. So first up, I have here The Winner's Curse and The Winner's Crime by Marie Rutkowski. This series takes place in a world where this military nation has conquered another nation and enslaved the inhabitants. We follow the daughter of a high-ranking general as she purchases one of these slaves and then has to deal with some unexpected consequences. This is the first and second book in a trilogy, and I am just really enjoying it so far. I was especially fascinated by the fact that these are fantasy books in a world with no magic. But the series doesn't need magic. Like, the world and the characters are so interesting and complex, and I love the conflicts and the romance and the angst, and especially the politics. I've recently realized, after reading these books and Mistborn and The Queen of the Tearling, which I'll talk about in a minute, that I really like political storylines. I'm just really fascinated by the workings of courts and countries at war and the strategies of very intelligent characters. And that's not something I've seen a lot of in YA. I just loved how these books dealt with politics and larger scale conflicts while also balancing the smaller, more personal conflicts. Then I have here The Queen of the Tearling by Erika Johansen, and this was the Booksplosion Book of the Month pick for April. We're working with Harper this month, so they were kind enough to send me this book along with the hardcover. Both of these books are so pretty. This is the first book in a fantasy series about a girl who comes of age and gets to ascend to her rightful place on the throne. But of course, it's not gonna be that simple. Her uncle, who has been ruling in her place, does not want to give up his position, so he wants her dead. And the evil sorceress who rules the next nation over does not want to see Kelsey in power, and she also wants her dead. Basically, Kelsey is just trying to do right by her people and be a good queen and avoid the constant assassination attempts. I was a little apprehensive going into it because I'd heard it was very slow, and it is a slower paced book. It took me a while to get settled into it, but once I did, I found myself just really enjoying it. Like I said, I'm finding myself really enjoying political plots lately. I just love the large scale of the conflicts and the underlying tension of people wanting her dead and this war that's a brewing. The world of this book is also super interesting, and I have some theories about it that I can't wait to get into in the Booksplosion live show Saturday afternoon. Info in the description, or I'll put the link there if it has already happened. Then I have here Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. This book was adorable. Even just thinking about it, I'm smiling because it was so cute. It's about a boy named Simon who is not so openly gay, and he's been emailing this other boy back and forth, but he doesn't know the actual identity of this boy, just the nickname of Blue. But then this other guy discovers the emails between Simon and Blue and uses them to blackmail Simon. Now that might sound a lot more sinister and dark than it actually is. There's definitely some tension and mystery going on, but for the most part, this is just a fun, lighthearted, adorable read, and I really enjoyed it. Then I have here Miss Mayhem by Rachel Hawkins. This is the second book in the Rebel Belle trilogy, and I can't talk about the synopsis because of spoilers, but I loved Rebel Belle. It was one of my favorite books of last year, and this book I enjoyed, but I just didn't feel like it was as great as Rebel Belle was. We still have the same great characters and snarky dialogue, and this was still fun and funny, but it just wasn't as fun or as funny as Rebel Belle was. There's definitely more angst in this installment, and the story of this one just wasn't as engaging as our first adventure. So yeah, ultimately I did enjoy this book, but it felt more like a bridge book between an awesome first installment and what will hopefully be an epic finale. Next up I have here Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jesse Andrews. This book is about a boy named Greg who gets by in high school by being friendly to everyone but not actually being friends with anyone. His closest friend is a boy named Earl, and he actually considers him to be more of a co-worker as they make movies together. But then, at the insistence of his mother, Greg ends up befriending a girl who's just been diagnosed with cancer. Now that synopsis might not sound very humorous, but this book is so funny, oh my goodness. I can't remember the last time I laughed out loud so much while reading a novel. But this did it, okay? Like, every other page had me cracking up. Now, from what I've seen on Goodreads, this type of humor is not for everyone. Like, I saw some people who just did not like this book, but I personally found it hilarious and I loved it. Next up I have here Yes Please by Amy Poehler. Now I don't have a synopsis to share with you because this is not a novel, it is a memoir. She talks about her experiences on Saturday Night Live and getting into improv and writing this book and life in general, and I loved it. I think Amy Poehler is fantastic. I just love her sense of humor and her outlook on life. She's such a positive, fun person, and I really enjoyed reading this and also listening to it because I listened to like half of it on audiobook, which was also great because Amy read it herself, and this was a good one. And finally I have here Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, which I read an ebook of, so I don't have a physical copy to show you. In this book, the world is divided into two classes. You have the Reds, who are just normal people with red blood, working class, and then you have the Silvers, who have silver blood and supernatural abilities, and they are the ruling class. We follow a 17-year-old girl named Mare who is a Red. She has red blood, but she also has an ability, and that might just send the entire system into chaos. So to keep people from finding out that a Red has an ability, she has to pretend to be a Silver, and it's not that simple. There has been so much hype surrounding this book, and ultimately I was disappointed. It was well written and really entertaining, but to me it just felt kind of generic. There were so many elements that I'd seen in other books, and you know, maybe if I'd read this a couple years ago I might have loved it, but I just couldn't stop myself from comparing it to The Hunger Games and Red Rising and a bunch of other books that felt similar, but I just enjoyed a whole lot more. Now the ending of this book did help to redeem it. Even though I did see it coming, I do still really like the direction that this series seems to be heading in. And I know there are plenty of people who loved this book, and I get it, I understand why, but personally, it just wasn't original enough for me to fall in love with. Alright, there you have it! Those are all the books I read in April, and that is it for this video today. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you have a great night, and I will have another video up soon, so I will see you then. Goodbye! Hello, my name is Kat, and this is my May... No, it's not. Hello, my name is Kat, and today I'm doing my April wrap-up. Why did I pause awkwardly when I was saying that? Then I have here Rebel Belle. Nope, I read Red Queen. I read Red Queen. Red, no. I am going to roll that challenge over and attempt it again next month, along with another one from the jar, but I will talk about that more in my May TBR. I'm rhyming! Ha! I can't stop rhyming. Gotta work on my timing. I'm so sorry.